What's up, everybody? Welcome to a fresh edition of Mile High Hockey. Oh, and it feels like Christmas Eve, perhaps even Christmas morning. He's Drew Spivak. I'm Will Peterson. First episode of the season. We're going to be coming to you every Tuesday and Friday between now and hopefully hoisting the Stanley Cup at some point in June. Drew, the journey begins. Here we are. It's October, and hockey is back officially, my friend.
And it feels great outside. It feels like hockey weather. It's like in the 50s. We got a hockey game tonight, although we got to stay up till 8:50 for puck drop tonight, which kind of stinks.
Yeah.
But hey, you can't complain. We're on the precipice of what figures to be an incredibly storyline filled, exciting season for a team that, in I think a lot of people's eyes, is maybe a Stanley Cup or bust type team this year.
Yeah, I think it is Stanley Cup or bust. And I'm not going to lie, I'm getting a little deja vu when you bring that up because I felt like we sat here a year ago with yourself or Mike Evans and talked about Stanley Cup or bust. But listen, since they've won the Cup, we had uncertainty with Valeri Nichushkin. We had uncertainty with Gabriel Landeskog, and those things are settled. The Avalanche are settled. I don't think they're going to have to make a bunch of trades. The goalie room looks good. The superstars are healthy. Let's just start there, Drew. Kind of expectations for this season. Look, I know it's a grind and we're getting months and months and months ahead of ourselves, but for me, I think the expectations are a parade, and I don't think that's me living in fantasy land. And frankly, I don't think that's the organization living in fantasy land because let's be honest, there may be some serious changes if they don't hoist the trophy or at least come yay close to getting the job done. That's where we're at with this core, this coaching staff, this front office.
Yeah, well, I think I've said this kind of, I think since we were doing the podcast over the summer, like after the season wrapped up, is that I think going into this season, I think if you talk to the guys in the locker room and you kind of get the feel from them and the coaching staff, these guys are still kind of pissed off about the way that things went down last year, losing to Dallas the way they did, in the fashion they did. This is going to be a team this year that's going to come in highly motivated to prove a lot of people wrong and to go out and they know, like, hey, this window is closing. You got maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 years left if you're lucky with guys like Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Gabe Landeskog, Valeri Nichushkin. You don't know how much longer these guys are going to be at their peak level. Obviously, Gabe Landeskog is a whole different conversation, but it feels like this is a team that's going to come in unbelievably motivated this year and going to hopefully get off to a hot start in order to try and get home ice in the first round of the playoffs because they need it. That's I think one of the things that killed them last year is not having home ice in Game 7 against Dallas. So if this team can come out this year and get off to an incredibly hot start, stay healthy, and just come out guns blazing, I think this is a team that could and probably should compete for the President's Trophy this year. I think you're looking at 105, 107, 109 points for this Avalanche team this year, which I think should be the goal, for the regular season at least.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and I talked to Gabe Landeskog about that a couple of weeks ago, and he was pretty clear that, they do want to have these games at home, and the goal is to win as many games as possible. I don't think they're scared of a President's Trophy or a curse or anything like that. And let's be honest, the 2 points in LA tonight will matter as much as the 2 points in games in April.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Avalanche need a foot on the gas type start. I like what you're saying there because it can't be we look up and it's Thanksgiving or it's Christmas and they're 11, 10, and 2. That's just not going to work. You can't dig yourself these early holes. And when they won the Cup in 2022, 3 of the 4 series, they were up 2-0. All 4 of them started at Ball Arena. Just getting those leads, it's very hard to beat these guys 4 times in 5 games, something that Nashville, Edmonton, and Tampa Bay obviously couldn't do when they won the Cup. So that sort of leads us into my next question after expectations. What are the biggest storylines early in this season as people tune in and get to know this version of the Colorado Avalanche?
I think for me, the main storyline is just health. Where does this team stand health-wise? We know Valeri Nichushkin's not dealing with the stuff he's dealt with in the offseason. Gabe Landeskog is about to play his first regular season games since I think March 10th of 2022.
That's insane.
It's
October 7th, 2025.
I know. It's incredible to even think that that's where this whole thing lands. But, we saw what we saw from Gabe in the playoffs last year. He was fantastic, one of their 2 or 3 best players. So I think you see him coming in this year. Some of the question marks, maybe, okay, Mackenzie Blackwood, not going to start on the opening night roster. He's probably going to be out for the first week, maybe 2. Do we have the faith in Scott Wedgwood? I know I certainly do, the way he performed last year. I think he won 9 straight starts, I think, to end the season last year. So I have a ton of confidence in Scott Wedgwood. So I think for me, health is kind of the biggest theme. Sam Girard is a guy that, was dealing with some stuff this summer. I think he's going to be in the opening night lineup tonight as well. But I think health is kind of the biggest thing for me, just to kind of keep an eye on early on this thing, because, we know this team's probably going to have the chemistry right off the bat. They're not starting from scratch. They're not trying to start to rebuild like how they did at the trade deadline last year. I mean, they made so many moves during the trade deadline. There was no time to really build that chemistry heading into the playoffs. Now you've had a full training camp together, a full offseason together. These guys are going to come in locked and loaded and ready to go. So as long as this team can stay healthy, I feel like you should expect and think that they're going to get off to a hot start. But it's really nice, Will, to not have to worry about a lot of the things we've had to worry about in the last couple of years with Val, with Gabe, with the goaltending situation. It's just like minor tweaks to the roster here and there. There's not a lot of outside kind of concerns that we have to worry about with this team right now.
Yeah, it really does feel like a fresh start because they have only won one playoff series since they won the Cup. But let's think about that. Seattle and the Nichushkin thing happens. Dallas and the Nichushkin thing happens again. Mind you, both those series without Landeskog. And then last year with Dallas as well. Of course, the Mikko Rantanen trade kind of had a cloud over the whole series. And let's be honest, Gabe had played, 4 or 5 games at that point. But it's interesting you bring up Landeskog because that's where my mind goes. Listen, I was around Gabe yesterday. I was chatting with him down at Family Sports, and he seems like Gabe. He seems like himself, but he's still human. He's not Superman. So my concern, I'm not raising any alarms or red flags or anything, but my concern is, can he do it for 82 games or 65 or 70 games? Some numbers we had thrown around in the past. Like tonight, when I turn on the Avs-Kings game, I'm not going to be looking for Nathan. I'm just going to watch Nathan play hockey because that's been my life for the last 12 years. I've just watched Nathan McKinnon play hockey. Drew, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be looking at 92, seeing how he's moving, seeing how he's going. And let's hope by the time the calendar reads November, December, when we turn on an Avs game, there's Gabe, he's playing, whatever, and it becomes second nature again. But I don't think we can ignore how much attention we are going to be paying to the captain tonight, just making sure he's looking good, looking fluid. And guess what? If he does take a big hit into the boards, he just pops right up. Like those kind of things are how we're going to consume Avalanche games for at least the first month of this season.
Well, I know one thing. April taught me a very valuable lesson, never to underestimate Gabe Landeskog.
Yeah, true.
Because I was one of those that truly thought he was never going to return to the ice. I thought his career was over. We'd never see him again. He'd become a part of the front office, whatever the case is going to be. What we saw from Gabe Landeskog last year gave me nothing but the utmost confidence that we're going to see him play 65, 72, somewhere in that range of games this year, and you're going to get the Gabe Landeskog that we saw before the injury. I mean, we kind of got a little bit of a taste of it in the preseason, getting in the fight the way that he did in the game at DU.
Yep.
I mean,
standing up for Cale Makar after he took an elbow to the head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm almost kind of just resigning myself to the fact, like, Gabe is just going to be Gabe. I have no worries about his health this year at all. Maybe it's foolish on my part, but maybe I think for me, I just saw enough from him in that postseason series against Dallas to think, you know what? We're going to get a fully healthy Gabe that's going to be able to participate 65 to 75 times in this season, and we're going to get the player that we had before. And I can't wait to watch him go out there with Brock Nelson, go out there with Val Nichushkin, and see what kind of chemistry that line has. Because let's be honest, in that Dallas series, that was the Avs' best line. Those guys had great chemistry together. I think they scoring chances were 22-6 in favor of that line.
Yeah, they played really well. Yeah.
They were outstanding in that series. So I can't wait to see that and how that chemistry develops with that line. And, I'm sure at some points we're going to see him back with Nathan McKinnon again on the top line. We're going to see him on that second power play unit to start the season. I love knowing, or at least hoping or thinking in my mind, that we don't really have to worry about Gabe Landeskog's health all that much this season.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping my fingers crossed too, but I'm just telling you, from my perspective, 92 is going to have my attention.
And it's fair. It's totally fair.
And for a few games. And hopefully, it does get to the point where I'm just watching Gabe play hockey. And I'm not thinking about every shift. All right, so we talked a little expectations, but let's talk about Bednar and McFarland. And I do think, and I'm not reporting this, it's just a gut feeling that, maybe the Nuggets did the Avalanche some favors in the sense that with Malone getting fired, with Booth getting fired, the Cronkies weren't looking to make big changes in their front office or behind their bench with the Avalanche. But I'm a huge Jared Bednar guy. I'm a massive fan of Jared Bednar. But Drew, I do feel like they either got to hoist the trophy or come this close, or the Avalanche are going to make a change at head coach, perhaps even a GM. No one's rooting for anyone to get fired, but that's kind of where I'm at going into this season, that the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of those two gentlemen.
And I think they know that. I think they both know going into this season that this is a Stanley Cup or bust type season. I always wonder, like, because we talked a lot about that on our radio shows is, what is the expectation? Like, how far does this team have to get in order for Bednar and for Chris McFarland to feel safe? And for me, it's a little bit crazy to be talking about Jared Bednar's job status because he is the winningest head coach in franchise history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it's got Mike Shanahan vibes with the Broncos a little bit.
It kind of does. I mean, what are we, 3 straight 100-point seasons?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this team has been an elite team now for the last several years. And obviously, there's been extenuating circumstances as to why they haven't been able to win a cup over the last couple of seasons. Now that you have your full roster, I do think, as much as I hate to say it, I do think that there's an immense amount of pressure on both those guys, especially Jared Bednar, to produce and get, I think, at least probably to the Western Conference Final, if not to the Stanley Cup Final. Otherwise, I do think you're right. As much as it pains me to say it, I do think that you're going to see changes. I don't like that, especially a lot of times in the NHL, a lot of teams make changes just for the sake of change.
Correct.
If you've got a great head coach, which I think anybody in the hockey world would acknowledge, Jared Bednar is a great head coach. Although I think there's some questions about some media members. I mean, the guy's never among the Jack Adams Award finalists, which is crazy. He's not even going to be with Team Canada for the Olympics, which is also crazy. But I think any Avalanche fan you ask to with a reasonable mind would say Jared Bednar is one of the great coaches in the NHL. It feels crazy to kind of put him in that realm of like being on the hot seat, but it kind of just comes with the territory. When you've got guys in their core, when you're in a Stanley Cup window, you have to produce, especially going into a season where you have your full lot of available players to go and make a run at this thing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Jared Bednar is great, but I think some folks are surprised he wasn't dismissed last year. I gave my reasons for why he wasn't. I don't think the Cronkies wanted to make another change, and I think you gave great reasons of you don't just fire head coaches for the sake of firing head coaches that are really good. All right, before we get out of here, let's make some predictions. Maybe we can revisit these in April, May, June. But Drew, I'm just going to say it here on the record. October 7th, puck drop in about 8 hours, first game of the season. I think the Avalanche are going to win the Stanley Cup this year. I really do. I think Nathan McKinnon talked about it'd be disappointing if he only gets one in his career. I think Gabe Landeskog knows this is one of his last chances to add a second to his trophy case. I think Chris McFarland has built a core that he's not going to have to tweak too much. And I think the superstars are going to play like superstars in the playoffs. Give me the Avs over the Carolina Hurricanes in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup, and we'll all be at a parade this summer. I hope that ages well. I'm curious your prediction. I don't do that just to be a homer. I thought about it all morning, and that's where I landed. The Avs are going to win it all.
I think this is where I'm supposed to be like the contrarian, right? I got to go against you and say something completely different. But, well, I agree. And I've been saying this, I think, since the summer, that I think this is a team that's going to come out and unbelievably motivated this year. And to me, I know people talk about Edmonton. They talk about Vegas in the West. In my eyes, this Avalanche team should be the favorite to win the Stanley Cup this year. And I do believe that as long as everything goes according to plan health-wise, as long as there's no drama with the Marty Netsch's contract, as long as the goaltending stays stable like it was last year, I do think that the Avalanche are going to be in the Stanley Cup final, and I think they're going to beat the Florida Panthers, who will make their 3rd straight trip. I know they don't have Bartikov.
Wouldn't it be their 4th straight trip?
3rd straight.
Well, they lost.
Yeah, you're right.
Vegas.
It would be their 4th straight.
Yeah, it'd be their 4th in the final.
Yeah. So I know they don't have Barkov. He's going to be out for the year. Kachuk is going to be, coming back probably sometime midpoint of the season, but that team always just finds a way. I know Carolina's a really good team. They added Nikolai Ehlers. I'm not buying the Canes just yet. I got to see them get to a Stanley Cup final game before I'm going to buy Carolina. So I think it's going to be the Avalanche over the Florida Panthers, and we're going to be having not one, but 2 parades come June.
I love it. Maybe a parade in February too. With the Broncos.
Let's not get carried away. We're not there yet.
Carried away, but it could be parade season in Denver, Colorado. I love it. And remember, fun trivia question: the Avalanche have won 2 of their 3 Stanley Cups in the state of Florida. Drew's predicting 3rd in franchise history, 1 down there way in the southeast. All right, it was fun. And remember, Mile High Hockey every Tuesdays and Fridays. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and therefore you will not miss an episode. And we'll be back on Friday, wrap up 2 games. Avs opener tonight in LA, home opener against the Utah Mammoth on Thursday. Can't wait to see you all this season.